In today's video, I want to talk about 120 hand cannons versus 140 hand cannons, and I don't expect to talk about this for a very long time because there's really only a couple of things I really want to touch on. And if you see me looking to my right, I just have a couple of notes I'm going to be referring to throughout the video. But the first thing I want to talk about is the range advantage. Obviously, 120s versus 140s are going to have a further range advantage, going out as far as 40 meters. And the real big piece of that, obviously, from the obvious fact of being able to hurt enemies from further away, is that you're usually going to be safer in that scenario, and you're going to be able to compete with some longer range weapons like pulses as well, and it's going to keep you out of the effective range of things like SMGs and of course other 140 hand cannons, but more importantly SMGs, because I think right now that's the most problematic weapon to face. And so that's going to be a huge part of what makes 120s very good. It's going to stay in a safer range, and I think it's a big part of why Bungie often talks about not wanting to make scouts too strong, because again, there's very little risk when using those types of weapons. And I think interestingly enough, 120s have a similar advantage in that scenario. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of the forgiveness of 120s. And so we're going to pause just for a brief second here and open up D2 Foundry. And I got it blown up nice and big here, so hopefully you can see all as well. And I'm just comparing Exalted Truth and Igneous, which we just talked about recently. And you can see here, a lot of people get caught up in the optimal time to kill of these weapons. So as you can see for Exalted or any 140, basically 0.87 seconds versus 1 second on Igneous Hammer. But what people don't realize is that when you're looking at this is all at most resiliences, it's going to be 3 crits. So you have to get 3 headshots to secure the optimal time to kill. But you're gonna see on 120s, it's 2 crits in 1 body. And so it's gonna be a little bit more forgiving when it comes to reaching that optimal time to kill. And even though you're not killing quite as fast as a 140, if you're playing near cover, playing farther away, you're gonna usually be able to make up for that difference in that time to kill, because you're gonna be able to slow down the time to kill of any other weapon by playing near cover and kind of breaking up those shots. And again, especially in a game like Destiny where you have flinch and there's a lot of things that can impact your ability to aim accurately outside of your own skill, having a weapon that's more forgiving like a 120 where you don't need to hit as many headshots is going to be super helpful. Now this also ties into my next point, which is this makes 120s more forgiving in a lot of different ways, like when it comes to abilities and using special weapons. Because now, because of the base damage being so much higher per bullet, when I do an ability, or maybe I hit someone with my shotgun, or I go to clean them up with my shotgun, they're going to be a little bit more hurt, meaning my shotgun is going to be a little bit more forgiving. So I say I put a couple of shots or even just one shot in to my enemy with my 120, and then I want to switch to my shotgun to clean up. It's going to have a higher chance of getting that cleanup kill because of the fact that my 120 is going to do more damage, and same kind of thought process would apply to when you're using abilities. And so across the board, you're gonna see 120s are just gonna be more forgiving, even though they don't have the same or as low as the time to kill as 140 hand cannons. Now, the last thing I really want to talk about here is the team shot. I think when you have a 120 hand cannon on your team, you immediately notice the team shot. You're going to see enemies melt a lot faster. You're going to see lots of burst damage where your enemy just gets completely melted when you combine that with 140s and 120s, because again, that output of damage is going to be so high, and you're going to have an easier time getting cleanup kills. One of my biggest gripes with 140s sometimes is that when you're fighting an enemy and they go to turn away, especially if you're playing like a skilled player who's going to be playing kind of close to cover, and they're always going to have their exit strategy in their mind, you're going to have a harder time cleaning up that kill with a 140, because as that player is running away, they're going to be getting out of your optimal time to kill range, and so you're going to be doing less damage, and that gives them, again, could be the difference between them living and dying. Versus a 120, it's going to be pretty hard for someone to escape your effective range, especially as if they're weak, you're pushing in, and it's gonna be easier to keep them in that effective range to get the cleanup kill. So many times with my 120, I've gotten cleanup kills on enemies that are further away. I'm not maybe doing optimal damage, but I'm definitely doing much more damage than I'd be doing with my 140 in the same scenario. And so that's why I also enjoy 120s. It allows you to just better support team shotting, but also get those cleanup kills where enemies are trying to get away, because again, you're staying within that optimal time to kill. To kind of recap, I think 120s right now are probably the best archetype for hand cannons overall, at least until Thorn gets buffed next season. And again, that's due to the range, allow you to combat your enemies from a safer distance, more forgiveness when it comes to only having to get 2 headshots and 1 body for that to reach the optimal time to kill, along with your abilities, and special having a better chance of cleaning up your enemies once you've done damage with your hand cannon, or vice versa, as well as the ability to better support more effective team shooting and ability to clean up your enemy from further distances without them escaping, making it easier to get that first pick in a lot of cases. But let me know in the comments down below, which archetype are you enjoying more? Do you prefer 140s over 120s? And what are you using right now?